It's time for a healthy dose of According to the Castles. And now, please welcome your hosts, Amy and Trey Castles.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday. It's Amy Castles, and I have a very special guest, Laura Hernandez. Trey is not here right now because in typical Castles fashion, Trey is up at the passport office, picking up our passports for us to leave for vacation on Friday.
That's awesome.
I told Trey, I said, I cannot believe you did not go get your passport renewed. This is like really cutting it short. And it was about a week and a half till the time. And then I went and I grabbed all of our other passports, my kids and myself, and I looked at mine and mine was expired too. So I was like, oh crap. Okay. Sorry. I had a little humble sandwich there, or humble pie. What is that called? So you make an appointment and then you have to go down to Houston, and we went down there and got our passports yesterday. So he is filling them out today. So we're going to Mexico.
Thank God you realized that.
Oh, I know, right? The kids are so excited. So Laura, tell us about yourself. Laura, by the way, let me just say this real quick. Laura is amazing. And I met her at Pure Barre, and she was one of the students in there, and I was a teacher, and we just clicked right from the start. And since I've known you, you have continually furthered your education, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your intellectual, your knowledge and your wisdom is just something to be amazing. So I would like for you to speak your title better, because you have further advanced even more since we've talked last. So tell us about yourself, Laura. What do you do? Who is Laura?
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. I resonate with you all the time. And some of the things I have learned are from you. So I have learned a lot about the oils from you, and I am addicted to the oils because of you. And I spent lots of money on oils because of you.
Thank you for that. You are actually funding this podcast. So thank you.
Thank you. So I started my journey around 10 years ago when I wanted to change my life. My background is in engineering, and I was not happy with my life. And I decided that one day I was going to change it. And immediately the next day, everything was put in front of me for me to change. So I kind of follow what is put to me in front of me. I follow my signs. So if something comes recurringly in my daily life, I will follow it. So I became a Theta healer. Okay. So I studied the energy technique Theta healing, which is an energy technique that you change your life and the way that your brain automatically thinks through the Theta brainwave. So I did that and I'm still a Theta healer, and I now teach also Theta healing, not only practice, but also teach it. And then I became a life coach, a spiritual life coach. And that means I coach every area of life through neuroscience and physics. And then why not? I became a HeartMath trainer because having a coherent heart is a way for a great meditation. So I was very interested in meditation. And because I have to do things in the way that I think are going to be better. So I also joined HeartMath because HeartMath is an amazing technique that helps you create a coherence in the heart, so you can have coherence in the brain. The more coherent your heart is, sends a signal to the brain to become coherent, and then your meditation is awesome. So I started with that, but then I realized that this coherence of the heart has much other benefits, such as meditation. So I have a program that is called Personal Resilience. That's a personal thing, one-on-one. Then I have another program for groups. That's Advantage, Resilient Advantage. And I have another program that's Activating the Hearts of Teams. And those three programs create heart coherence, personally, professionally, and over teams. I am also a team coach, and I am also a mental health coach and a wellness coach for the Chopper Center. And that means also that I train and coach meditation through the Chopper Center, and I do some health coach around Ayurveda as well, which you have enjoyed.
Yes, I just went through Laura's program this fall, and you are a huge reason as to why I'm here and why this podcast is even existing, because you helped me. And I had a business coach at the same time, but it was very different the way that she was coaching me versus the way that you were coaching. She was coaching me in a way to help me accomplish goals and work through things and kind of sift out the things that weren't as significant as the big goal that I had. But you helped me to find why I even wanted to have some of these goals, or how to best get there based on my body. And you showed me things that I wasn't able to see before. You showed me from an Ayurvedic standpoint how my body moves, how my brain thinks. And we did all this through assessments. And Laura can do those assessments with anyone who wants to coach with her. And you showed me things that are priceless till this day. I don't beat myself up anymore about taking a little 20-minute yoga nidra nap. I used to think if I only had 20 minutes to lay down, I may not fall asleep, and I would panic about that. Like, I can't fall asleep. And then I would be so anxious. But then I realized it's not about falling asleep. It's about becoming meditative in a meditative state to allow yourself to completely relax. And you showed me what that did for my body. And I'm so thankful for that. I still use it to this day. And it's helped my migraines. You told me years ago, I just didn't listen. You told me 2012. You said your migraines have to do a lot with control, and that it was. I didn't understand at the time, but it was stress. It was the stress trying to control. So that trying to control the things in my life rather than just moving with the flow, and then that stress that it would cause me would trigger the migraines. But that's just me with the migraines. Everybody else is different. So okay. I went through your Theta healing class, and I'm very interested in talking about the Theta waves and what that means exactly. We discussed a little bit on our last podcast about meditation and breath work, but I know that you've done a lot of work with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talks a lot about the different states of the brain. And when we're asleep, we're delta, relaxed, or deep sleep dreaming. But Theta, why is it that we want to get into a Theta wave zone in the middle of the day?
Well, a Theta brainwave means your body is asleep and your mind is awake. So it's an hypnotic state. So when you work through the Theta brainwave, in Theta healing, for example, we are kind of in a hypnotic state, downloading information to your psyche. So you will be performed according to that information, just like in a hypnotic way. And why is this important? So we have two parts of our conscious mind. We have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind. 5% of your thought, everybody says around 5% of your thought is conscious, and 95% of your thought is subconscious. So everything that you are conscious about that you want is coming from your conscious mind. But everything in your life that doesn't work the way you want to comes from your subconscious mind. We manifest our thoughts. Our thoughts are electromagnetic waves. And as you're thinking, you are sending an electromagnetic field to the field of possibilities. And you're receiving back what you're signaling for. So everything in your life that you're not in accordance to, that you don't want, it's very likely that it's coming from your subconscious mind. Everything that you do like, that you're experiencing, comes from your conscious mind. Why the Theta brainwave is so important? Because that's where the information is. So as you relax yourself and dive into this brainwave, you are relaxing all the neural synapses that might be against you. And as you relax those neural synapses, they're not going to be so active anymore. And then you have the opportunity to turn those around more quickly. Make sense?
Yes, I kind of visualize a forest with a lot of tall grass inside of it. and you're trying to get through there, but you don't know the way. And there's a lot of wind, and that wind is your subconscious just moving things around, and you don't know the way. But when you come to a position of relaxing and just breathing slow, that wind kind of dies out, and then now your pathways form, and then you can see new pathways and you can make new pathways. Would that be a kind of a good analogy to understand that?
Well, it's a great one. For another analogy is like, those things that you connect electricity to that have a lot of connectors.
Mm-hmm.
So an extension. Okay. So imagine that because of what you were born with 60 billions of neurons, 60 billions of neurons, and they all come together as soon as you are born. And in your life experience, through the experiences that you are going through. So your environment shapes your brain. And your brain is the one that creates the mind. So when you are meditating, you're slowing down the activity in the brain. You're slowing down the mind. So those connections, those neural pathways that are not active, start kind of loosening up and create a little bit more opportunity for neuroplasticity for you to create different neural pathways.
Okay, now this is where HeartMath comes into place, because with HeartMath, this is an actual technique that is, tell us more about HeartMath and why it started.
HeartMath is an organization based in California that started like 29 years ago and has a scientific-driven purpose to prove that the coherence of the heart changes not only your brain, your life, but also has an impact in your environment, in the people around you, and even in trees or countries. So it has an impact. So the purpose of HeartMath is to teach you how to create coherence in the heart. Why? Because the heart sends information. 80% of the information travels from the heart to the brain. And when you have a coherent heart, you have a coherent brain. If you have a coherent brain, you are signaling coherently all the centers of the brain. And therefore, you're creating rejuvenation and vitality. If you have an incoherent signal in the heart by feeling unpleasant emotions and you are not self-regulating, which HeartMath helps you self-regulate, then when you have no self-regulation, your brain is functioning incoherently and you're mostly to be in fight or flight constantly.
Okay, this is where last week we talked about this a little bit. You have your beta waves, which right now we're in beta waves. But if we were in a high state of stress, anxiety, we'd be in high beta.
High beta.
Right? Okay. Learning the techniques of HeartMath helps you to stay in the beta while you're conscious, but also helps you to go into the theta when you want to. Now, the little device that I got from you, it hooks to your ear. And it hooks to your phone, and I don't know how I don't know how this picks it up, but
because your ear has pulse,
so it's picking up your pulse, and you're doing this breathing exercise, but it's not guiding you through the breathing exercise. That's where people learn the technique of the HeartMath, right? And then they use that little device. I mean, it was like, how much is that thing? Like 100?
Okay, 159 for the Bluetooth.
Okay. It was very well worth it because I can hook it up to I plug mine into my phone. That way I don't have to worry about charging it ever. And then it helps me to get to basically measure my meditation, to measure my breath work better. What
you're measuring is heart rate variability. And if you have a high rate variability, that means your heart created coherence and your brain is going to match your heart coherence. So if you have a coherent brainwave, you're kind of cleaning the house, okay, in your brain. So that's how important it is. So when you're in high beta, you're stressed, you're in stress mode. And as you're doing the exercise, the HeartMath self-regulation exercise, what you're doing is you're slowing down your heart, okay? You're increasing your heart rate variability and you're increasing the coherence in the brain. That means you're going from high Theta into alpha first, okay? You go first into alpha to go into Theta.
Okay.
And Theta is exactly where changes happen in the brain.
I'm just thinking of the domino effect that happens if we're just in a constant state of high beta. The hormones that are produced in our body, the constant cortisol, the adrenals that are just pumping out adrenaline and cortisol, what it does to your cravings of sugar, alcohol, high carbohydrates, just the processed carbohydrates, and then how it sends how it triggers the gut and throws things off, and then you start triggering more cravings and then your immune system. I mean, if you trail it back, it really all starts with your heart and the brain and learning how to regulate those. I'm just in awe, and I'm like, why aren't we doing this more? Why aren't we doing this more?
Because we don't have the information. I always tell my clients, I think there's should be things that we should be taught in school, okay? How emotional intelligence, EQ, and how to create the emotional state that we're looking for. And just to be clear, Amy, it's very important for people to understand that as we are creating an incoherent brainwave, what the brain is thinking, I'm going to die. So I have to release the hormones of stress so I can fight, fly, or hide. And in order for that to happen, you're going to move your blood from the non-essential organs into the extremities so you can survive. And you're leaving very important systems without enough blood to function. Sexual system, no sexual desire, not ability to host a baby, not ability to, create a baby. Immune system, less blood to send T cells through your body to fight bacteria and viruses. Not enough blood in your digestive system, so you start having gut issues, inability to digest, inability to absorb nutrients, intolerances, allergies, and your brain loses blood. So then your performance, your coordination, your situational awareness, your clarity, your focus, your ability to learn all goes down. So many things, not only the adrenals are going to be exhausted from overproducing these hormones, but these hormones are going to make your blood go to the extremities and are going to leave essential organs.
That is so fascinating. And next week, we're actually having a Dr. Cook come on, and she does bioidentical hormones. And I understand there's a time and a place to when maybe these things need to come into place. But at first, we really need to take a look at some of these things that are happening, and how are we spending time meditating? Are we spending time in the breath work? Are we spending time thinking about reducing the stress in our life and just evaluating what is happening within our bodies? I haven't been I'm better than I was a year ago, but I still have my moments where I get a knockdown migraine, and then I just have to get up and learn and remember, okay, what did I do here? There's a reason. Okay, I've been in stress for the past couple of weeks. That's why this happened. How could I have prevented that better next time? How could I, but not beat myself up, but just how can I better it? And just these past couple of weeks, I've been really working on getting better at meditation. Now, something that is very interesting to me as I was doing some research, our chakras, we have 7 chakras, also known as energy centers. And a lot of people just really have some reservations about this because there's a lot of influence. There's Eastern influence, and Eastern influence may have Eastern philosophy or Eastern religion mixed in. And so people become afraid of it. Personally, I do not believe that there's anything to be afraid of just because someone of another culture or religion has a practice on something. I feel like we can learn from everyone. And the energy centers of the body are where there are actual organs doing a lot of work. So if you have all these energy centers in your body with blockages, like you're saying, you're not going to have the high function of those areas. When you're in a meditative state and you're just focusing on your breathing, that's how you get there. Wouldn't you say to get into a good meditation, you got to focus on your breathing? They go together, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What is the practice and how is it done and what does it mean to breathe in from the pelvic floor to move spinal fluid up into your brain? I did not even know that was a thing until recently.
Well, that's one of the with breathwork. That's what you're doing when you have breathwork. So if people have heard about the Kundalini experience is moving the energy from the pelvic floor into the brain. So that's what's called Kundalini, the energy. So what's happening here is that our energy field is created in our heart. So that's where the field is born. So you create an energy field, and everything has an energy field, even a phone. Okay, everything has an energy field, and there is a type of photography, Kirlian photography, where you can see that there is an energy field for everything. This energy field that we have as humans comes from our heart, and it's created up and down. And the more fluidity, the more the energy flows through your spine from the pelvic floor to your pineal gland. The more movement you have, the greater activity you're going to have in your field. And if you have an active field, you have a strong field. And you're less likely to be stressed, less likely to be sick. Why? Because everything, your field is very, very coherent. Mm-hmm. There is less chaos in your field. But if one of the energy centers has been blocked because an emotion that hasn't been processed correctly, then you start creating blockages through your system, organs, or chakras, or energy centers, whatever you're going to call it, and then the energy doesn't flow through the spine. And the movement of the torus field that you have around you is disrupted.
Now, some people look at, I've looked into the Kundalini and all those things, and some people are doing this for a very spiritual experience, but there's very much a scientific reason for things. And I like to look at it in that way. As a Christian, I have some things that I might want to get into and some things that I may not want to get into. And I am very intrigued by the fact that some of these things that they learned years ago, thousands of years ago, they can now see the scientific data to support this. Even the talk of energy is considered taboo for some people. But energy is what we all are. We're all energy. Everything is. Okay. What is this with the pineal gland? The pineal gland is in the brain, the most protected little gland that we have. How is it that it can produce DMT? And what is DMT?
Well, DMT is a hormone that causes you to have what's called spiritual experiences. Okay. So if you have if you know how to activate your pineal gland, you could create this DMT. No, you don't need to have any plant or any substance outside. So great meditators, people that know a lot of meditation, or even newbies could have a spiritual experience where you see colors, where you can see other dimensions, where you can be flying. Those are caused by DMT. And what this hormone does is that you're out of your body, you're out of your programs, out of your limitations, and you become one with everything and everyone. And that is what caused the DMT.
Okay, so I've had these experiences then before, because there have been multiple times where I really just I prayed and I got into a very deep meditative state. I focused. It was quiet. It was in the early hours of the morning, and I was just breathing. And all of a sudden, like 20 minutes later, I just kind of popped out of it, and I had been somewhere. I felt like God was talking to me. I had a conversation. I was able to document it, write it down, which is really cool to be able to do. And God spoke to me in those moments, and it was the most beautiful thing ever. It's interesting that there's very, maybe this is a little deep to say, there is a dark world out there. There's a dark energy field out there. There's forces of evil in our world. I think everybody can agree on that. And they may produce a lot of things that are called to be good for our bodies, but they're really produced out of greed and power. And many of them are directed to actually have an effect on our pineal gland and basically turn it off in a way and block those spiritual things from happening. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't necessarily want to.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. It is said that our pineal gland is the antenna that connects you to pure consciousness. Okay, mm-hmm. And pure consciousness is what you call God. I call it pure consciousness. Mm-hmm. I call it the field of possibilities. You call it God. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it is said that it is not only your antenna to this energy that is higher than ourselves, whatever you want to call it, but also is the transducer of an experience. And what does that mean? I talked in the beginning that we're signaling electromagnetic waves with our thoughts. Okay. And that pineal gland is what transduces, creates the experience here in your life. Transducer is like a TV. Okay. It has a piezoelectric effect. So it's pulsing, it's sending information, but it's also feeding back that information to you. So it's very important. It's very important. And why it's your spiritual connection? Because according to your thought, it goes to the field and transduces into your life what you're thinking.
See, okay, this is why it's so important. If you think of it, I love thinking of it as an antenna. That's a really great analogy. And if you think of your antenna as being something that's so sacred, I mean, God put it in the middle of our brain, compacted by bones around it. It is the most protected little gland in our body, and it's tiny, like the size of a Tic Tac, isn't it? Isn't it about the size?
Even smaller.
Even smaller. Okay, maybe a grain of rice, but it does so much. And that little antenna, we want to protect it, and all the things that are around us, whether it's the electromagnetic fields from our phones or the Wi-Fi's in our house, and then you put on top of that the stressors such as candles and fragrances and all these things that we breathe in through our nose and cross over the blood-brain barrier, and who knows where they're going. These are all hinder our ability for better thought and better. It's just overall just our stress that we put on ourselves.
Better connect, like
better
they
connection.
inhibit your connection to the spiritual realm. Yes, true.
What is it that we have crystals in our brain? This is a crystal. There's crystals here. So the pineal gland has crystals, and those crystals, as they vibrate, they're little tiny crystals. As they vibrate, that's how they create the piezoelectric effect. So I'm thinking like a quartz crystal, something like that. Is that?
Yeah, but they're very, very little.
and crystals do conduct energy and electricity. Oh, yeah. Wow.
They are piezoelectric.
Just so fascinating. Okay. So what about, how many times a day do you meditate?
Twice a day, every day. And you talk about something very important. You said that we're all the time in activity. Okay. So this is why meditation is so important, because we answer the phone, we work, we do, we go, we come, we do. But we don't stop. So our autonomic nervous system has two sides, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The sympathetic is always in activity, but we don't use the parasympathetic too much. So by turning on the sympathetic every time we meditate, we teach our body to go into this state constantly. And that means that gives you the ability to self-regulate your activity. So that's why also it's so important to meditate. I meditate twice a day, every day, for 20 minutes in silence. That's part of my practice. Not everything, but it's part of my practice.
And what is your position? Like, what's your body position? Are you sitting, laying down?
Laying down is only for masters. Even I fall asleep, and I've been meditating for a long time. So you have to be seated, because if not, your brain goes into Theta, body sleeps, mind awake. So if you sleep, if you're doing it, meditation laying down, you're going to fall asleep. So it's better to sit on a chair. I do it on the floor. I have a cushion for meditation, and it's very important to have your spine straight. Why? Because you have to allow the fluid and the energy to flow. So if my head starts falling down because I'm falling asleep, I just have to, I'm going to bring it up. I have my hands over my lap, either doing a mudra. A mudra is kind of something with your hands. There are different definitions or meanings for that. I have either my palms up or in a mudra. And I do focus on a mantra. I practice mantra meditation. So instead of having a thought, when I have a thought, I come back to my mantra. And that allows me to keep my focus only in a vibrational frequency of the universe. That's a mantra.
Okay. I guess I haven't heard. I knew what a mantra is when I teach a yoga class, and that's setting our intention for the class. But I guess I never really thought of doing a mantra, or maybe even a Bible verse, anything that you choose.
You could do a Bible verse, everything that you choose. Everything that keeps your mind focused on one thing is better than keep your mind in 100 trillion of things.
Yeah.
So our mind is constantly in so many things. So when we bring our focus in one thing, could be your breath, could be a noise in the environment, could be a guided meditation. You're paying attention to the person talking. That drives the brain into a path where it's much more calmer than what you have previously.
And I love that on last week, we talked about these things, and Marcus said that he's doing it all day long. He's practicing his breathing and breath work all day long. And when you get good at doing your morning, doing your evening meditation, you're practicing your breathing, you are less reactive because you're so used to holding your state at a certain level and keeping yourself in such a calm state that you don't want to, you're not easily provoked or upset when then somebody cuts you off on the road. You just let them, because it's not worth it. You've worked hard to get yourself in that relaxed state and be happy and joyful. You're not going to let somebody, who is that guy? Who cares? What is he going through? You know what? Pray for him. And then just let it go.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Okay, last thing before we get done. What is the best way that people start with you? What if somebody comes up and says, Laura, I want to work with you. What do? I don't even know where to start.
Well, they can go to my website to see what are the services that I offer. My website is www.choosingunity.com. And I have different services. I have meditation. I have stress management. I have coaching. I have healing. And so they can go through the services and choose and book a session. I also have a first time 20-minute call for free, so people can get to know me. So I understand the person needs and suggest what is the best thing to do to move forward.
Awesome. And by the way, meditation will help people sleep better, right? Don't
Yes, totally.
Because you're allowing a lot of those things that are just constantly running through your head to kind of just, you've learned how to control them a little better. And not control, but how to
self-regulate.
Okay, there you go. Self-regulate better. So when you're waking up in the middle of the night going, where's my birth certificate? And you're not even traveling, you get better.
Or my password has expired.
Oh my gosh. What is my password to that one website that I haven't been on in 3 years? All of these things. Well, I love following you on social media. What is your platform that you use the most? Instagram, Facebook?
Well, I am using both. And right now is I Heal a Love. I'm creating my new one, Choosing Unity, because I changed my website. So I Heal a Love is the one that is currently running, but it will change in a few weeks to Choosing Unity.
Okay. Awesome. I love watching your adventures right now. She's up in Maine.
Thank you.
At the point she's left us in Texas to go up to Maine and go in the snow. 4 feet of snow, just hiking through there with the dogs and just having a blast. So
I am having a blast.
I'm still coming to see you soon. So, but I'm not doing that snow.
No, fall, Amy. Fall is the beautiful place to be, okay. or the summer, or the summer.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I hope you enjoyed it. You answered really great questions, and I hope those who are listening, this is an episode that you may want to listen to twice, because the things that Laura says are so rich and in depth. I know that I've had to hear them 10 or 15 times. So you may want to listen to this episode 10 or 15 times. Thank you so much.
I'm in agree with you. Yes.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much, Amy, for having me.
Thank you for coming
on.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of According to the Castles with Amy and Trey. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. To stay up to date with the Castles, follow Amy on Instagram at @acastles. Until next time, have faith, enjoy life, and love abundantly.